If your child is struggling academically, it might be requested that you get an assessment for your child. Like, what does that mean? What type of assessment? A diagnostic assessment, a cognitive skills assessment? What are assessments really about? So at LearningRx, we provide a cognitive skills assessment. That's an age equivalency that provides a baseline for your child. It's kind of like if you go to the doctor, right? How tall are you? What's your blood pressure? What's your heart rate? It gives you a baseline. The cognitive skills assessment will compare your child to other kids their age and give you a age equivalency in key skills that are critical for learning, like long-term memory, working memory, visual auditory processing, processing speed, and reasoning attention. If you're seeking a diagnosis, however, you need to seek out a licensed psychologist who can do more extensive testing. If you do get a diagnosis, though, if you go that route and you get a diagnosis, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, autism, kind of like, well, now what? What do you do? So there's kind of really two main categories of options on how to help a child who has a diagnosis. You'll likely find in the back of the neuropsych evaluation you received with the diagnosis a summary of recommendations. Those recommendations tend to be what we call accommodations to help your child. You might hear them referred to as like an IEP or a 504 plan in school. So for example, if your child is diagnosed with ADHD, they may be allowed to do their work in the hallway where it's quiet, or often processing speed is an issue for those with ADHD. So they're given more time to complete their work. So those are accommodations. That's one approach. The other approach is to actually strengthen the skill, right? So for example, going back to a student with ADHD, what we find, and we have peer-reviewed research showing this, is that often for someone with ADHD, the attention issue is a symptom, not really the root cause. Where, like, for example, the root cause is often low processing speed, where their brain has to work so hard on a task that they can't maintain that level of energy, and then over time zone out. So that's actually our focus at LearningRx. Is our goal is to avoid or limit the need for accommodations, because ultimately I think all of us as parents don't want to water down school for our kids or make it easier to just get them through. We want them to be able to rise to the occasion and do the work. And so that's our focus at LearningRx, is actually strengthening the skill so kids can excel in attention, reading, however that's manifesting.